High General Krinthax of the Unified Order of Advanced Races tapped 12 of his glistening tentacles against a crystalline lectern, each motion a bureaucratically sanctioned form of escalating disappointment. The chamber around him, shaped like a collapsing spiral to symbolize diplomatic openness or constipation, depending on who you asked, echoed with the rustling of thousands of translucent report scrolls. "Terra Gaia," he declared, stretching the vowels like a man trying not to gag on the word, "is a clear violation of Article 94 Theta regarding interstellar decorum. Their media glorifies combustion-driven warfare. They worship projectile propulsion as religious icons, and their dominant species appears to derive strength from consuming liquid neurostimulants derived from roasted beans." The chamber gasped in horror. One ambassador fainted, another simply rebooted. After 72 hours of cross-cultural sighing and competitive passive aggression, the Council authorized a Level 0.5 diplomatic recon and passive observation team, DRAPOT, essentially the galactic version of peeking over your neighbor's fence with a clipboard. Ambassador Slorptak, a translucent jelly who constantly quivered with anxiety, was assigned to lead, supported by tech specialist Pist, a sentient data cloud with a fetish for formatting, and linguist Glab, a gelatinous beige linguist who translated sarcasm into formal surrender declarations. Their invisible vessel slipped into Terra Gaia's orbit unnoticed, cross-referencing Yelp, Reddit, and an unstable satellite called WaffleNet, before selecting a remote structure marked Bravo X that had excellent reviews and multiple mentions of intense hospitality. What Drapot did not know was that Bravo X was a live Navy SEAL training facility, and that Lieutenant Commander Jenna Briggs, decorated, caffeinated, and recently demoted for unauthorized use of weather, was currently running a field lecture titled Improvised Carnage 101 Household Edition. She stood shirt-sleeved in the middle of an open kill zone, holding a half-eaten burrito in one hand and a flamethrower named Susan in the other, surrounded by explosive-laden Roombas, several unfortunate mannequins, and one deeply traumatized goat. "Welcome to War Kindergarten," she barked. "If your eyebrows are still attached by the end of this, you're not trying hard enough." At that exact moment, Drapot's cloaking field chose to fail, likely due to atmospheric interference, or possibly because Pest uploaded a welcome protocol shaped like a smiling avocado. The ship popped into visibility above the training field, and without warning, dropped the delegation directly into the mud like bureaucratic rain. Jenna didn't flinch. She took one look at the squirming jelly diplomat, the sparking cloud, and the beige guy flapping a diplomatic scroll, and yelled, "All right, sparkleballs! If you're the new recruits, I hope your life insurance covers spontaneous combustion." Slorptak wobbled forward with a damp sound, only slightly reminiscent of someone dropping pudding onto a keyboard. "Greetings. We come in peace and require passive insertion into your cultural." He never finished. Jenna flipped a switch. One Roomba spun to life and rocketed toward them, humming the Marine Corps anthem while spitting out smoke and confetti. Glab screamed, "Psst!" exploded into panicked static, and Slorptak, dripping, shivering, nearly translucent with dread, blurted, "Abort! Abort! We have made direct contact with a Class X combat priestess." The trio teleported out mid-screech, leaving behind only a gelatin smear, 2 burnt footprints, and a very confused goat wearing a tactical vest. Jenna took a bite of her burrito, squinted into the sky, and muttered, "Aliens again. Bet they're gonna upload this to TikTok." High above Earth, on the observation deck of their now terrified vessel, Drapot replayed the field encounter footage in nauseated silence. What followed was worse. In attempting to contextualize Jenna's behavior, they accessed Earth's media archives, downloading thousands of hours of historical combat documentation, which turned out to be a mix of war films, video game, streams, Doom, and the complete history of Jenna's YouTube channel. Kill first, ask later. Footage of Jenna suplexing a malfunctioning drone into a BBQ grill while explaining the Geneva suggestions. "They're not laws if nobody reads." Them was seen by the UOAR Council in full 16K resolution. Krinthax choked on his tea. One diplomat fainted again. Another combusted in horror. Within minutes, Terragaia was reclassified as a death-class cultural threat, and the invasion plans were quietly replaced with a fruit basket, a high-speed treaty printer, and a ceremonial peace toaster engraved with the words, "Please don't hurt us, you beautiful maniacs." Down on Earth, Jenna received a care package from space. Inside, a letter of formal respect, a coupon for intergalactic coffee, and a note that read simply, "Respectfully requesting no more Roombas." Jenna smirked, reached for her chainsaw and muttered, "That's fair. Susan gets cranky on Tuesdays." By the time the galactic analysts finished their third round of therapeutic screaming into bioengineered pillows, Lieutenant Commander Jenna Briggs had already uploaded a new video to Kill First, Ask Later, titled Diplomatic Target Practice, featuring squishy visitors and surprise confetti. It received 3.2 million views in the first hour, not counting the hundreds of UOAR military ethics bots that short-circuited halfway through her flamethrower demonstration. Meanwhile, in orbit, Drapot's ship, the UOR's Respectful Inquiry, had activated full emotional lockdown, a rare protocol triggered only when diplomats begin whimpering in 6 languages simultaneously. Ambassador Slorptak was being slowly stirred in a calming nutrient gel. Pizist was stuck in an electrical loop repeating, "Cultural hostility detected. Please consult Section 34B of the Feelings Manual." And Glab was hyperventilating while translating his own screams into 4 dialects of interstellar cowardice. Nevertheless, per bureaucratic procedure, a second contact attempt had to be made. They chose stealth entry again, this time selecting what their Earth language software identified as a neutral civilian zone of learning and diplomacy. That zone, as it turned out, was the southeastern perimeter of SEAL Facility Bravo X, specifically the mess hall, where Jenna was currently deep in conversation with a tactical burrito and a rookie she'd nicknamed Caution Tape after he tripped over one too many live exercises. Drapot's second landing attempt was slightly more graceful, if you considered being spat out of a malfunctioning cloaked drop pod into a tray return station graceful. Jenna didn't even flinch. She spun around mid-chew, pointed at the writhing alien pile and asked, "Are you guys here for lunch or another tasering? Because I've got battery packs and unresolved childhood rage." Slorptak raised what passed for a diplomatic flag, a damp noodle-like appendage, and squeaked, We surrender? Surrender? Jenna blinked. "I haven't even threatened you yet, but thanks for saving time." Before anyone could explain, Specialist Psst attempted to salvage the interaction by launching a holographic welcome message of harmonious exchange, which instantly crashed into Jenna's comms tablet, causing it to play her war playlist on max volume, specifically a track called Ride of the Napalm Unicorns. Chaos erupted. Chairs overturned. Caution Tape ran headfirst into a vending machine and passed out with a cookie in his mouth. Jenna tackled the interpreter again, out of habit more than aggression, and duct-taped him to a fridge while asking questions like, "You ever fought a shark with a hammer? Do you breathe through your skin or just whimper through it?" Slorptak, now visibly trembling and leaking stress mucus, tried to respond with a cultural gesture of peace by forming the word cooperation in his bioluminescent forehead folds, which only made Jenna yell, "Are you projecting threats with your skull now?" and reach for her stun baton, which she had named Polite Reminder. By the time command staff were alerted, the situation had devolved into an accidental interpretive dance battle, 6 startled raccoons, and Jenna giving a rousing motivational speech about never letting intergalactic bureaucracy ruin taco night. Eventually, after the stun baton was holstered and everyone had been offered electrolytes and cookies, Jenna sat down with the diplomats in the facility's supply closet, her chosen negotiation chamber because it's got good acoustics and smells like combat boots and justice. Drapot explained their purpose, to observe, understand, and eventually uplift Terragaia from its violent ignorance to peaceful galactic citizenship. Jenna blinked, then laughed. then laughed harder, then took a swig of her third caffeine gel pouch and said, "Let me get this straight. You want to uplift us? From what? Oppressing gravity with kettlebells? Making friends with missile guidance? Systems?" When they offered to share harmonic galactic strategies of non-conflict, she nearly choked on her burrito and muttered, "That's adorable." Then she hit play on a handheld holoprojector and showed them highlights from humanity's worst moments. Trench warfare, naval blockades, guerrilla tactics, cyber warfare driven by memes, and one particularly horrifying montage of her kicking down doors while yelling, "Surprise democracy delivery." Drapod absorbed this information in horror, though Bust, ever the optimist, suggested that perhaps it was all exaggerated for cultural storytelling. Jenna countered by handing over a GoPro from her last recon op titled Operation Bad Idea. Great results, in which she disabled an enemy tank by weaponizing a toolbox, 2 bored Marines, and an industrial microwave. After viewing that, Slorptak developed hives. Psst tried to self-delete. Glab vomited a sentence and passed out. The time the sun set, the UOAR ship had already requested diplomatic extraction and submitted over 93 trauma reports. Jenna, meanwhile, dusted off her hands, nodded to herself and said, "They'll be back. They always come back, especially when they realize we haven't even shown them Australia yet." And with that, she returned to training, tossing a smoke. Grenade-labeled feelings into a weapons locker and yelling, "Break's over! Time to invent a new war crime, with love!" Orbiting just outside Terragaia's thermosphere, the respectful inquiry had entered what was diplomatically categorized as full existential stasis, though the crew called it holy crap mode. Inside, Ambassador Slorptak lay submerged. In a regeneration vat whispering, she smiled at me in terrified loops. Psst had become a flickering ghost trapped mid-protocol update, and Glab was stuck translating his own sobs into 47 known dialects of surrender. But unfortunately for them, bureaucracy, like Terragaian raccoons, cannot be stopped once it finds an open trash bin. The UOAR's upper council demanded a full analysis of Terragaia's threat index, and so, against all better judgment and internal screaming, the data recovery AI systems began combing through the digital mess Earth called the Internet. What started as basic military reconnaissance turned into a psychic horror show for every alien connected to the network. Thousands of hours of guerrilla warfare footage, adrenaline-choked documentaries, historical deep dives on asymmetric warfare, and something called Epic Battlefield Fails Compilation 12, downloaded themselves into UOAR servers at terrifying speed. The real nightmare began when someone in the data team clicked on a video titled How to Strategically Demolish a Tank Using Only a Forklift and American Exceptionalism, starring none other than Lieutenant Commander Jenna Briggs, covered in soot, burrito sauce, and patriotism, casually narrating how she once commandeered a forklift, duct-taped a rocket launcher to the side, and declared herself Forklift McFreedom, Empress of Payloads. Council members watching the footage began weeping into their ceremonial robes. The apex moment came when Jenna paused mid-detonation to stare into the camera, sip her cold brew, and mutter, "This one's for the Geneva." Suggestions. The phrase trended across 4 galactic sectors and was later added to the UOAR's list of forbidden combat utterances. Even worse, military historians within the UOAR began to connect the dots. Humans didn't just fight wars, they refined chaos. They turned every defeat into a training montage, every loss into a new combat doctrine, and every improvised weapon into a proud cultural artifact. Historical simulations pulled up the Earth's patterns: the siege of Stalingrad, urban combat in Mogadishu, naval deception in the Pacific, and the time a squad in Afghanistan jammed enemy signals using an iPod and Bohemian Rhapsody. It wasn't just tactical insanity. It was institutionalized creativity in violence. Then the viral clips hit. Jenna's YouTube shorts, now being passed around alien data spheres like cursed talismans, showed her pranking an entire squad with fake grenades, bench pressing a drone for mental health, and calmly disarming a malfunctioning war mech using a butter knife and a command tone that made even the ship's AI freeze in fear. One particularly infamous clip featured Jenna inside a burning building, handing out motivational speeches and cheese puffs to rookies while casually disabling enemy bots with explosive chewing gum. The soundbite, "Pain is temporary, but tactical. Sarcasm is forever," was carved into the memory of every traumatized UOAR officer. Back aboard the Respectful Inquiry, the Draypot team's daily meetings had devolved into therapy sessions. Slorptak insisted on communicating only through interpretive ink pulses now. Pshist developed a new stutter that looped every time someone said seal. And Glab had adopted a Terragaian stress ritual involving chocolate and sobbing in the supply bay. To make things worse, Earth's data had corrupted several UOAR translation modules, causing formal documents to now include phrases like "suck it," "nerds," and "spicy democracy incoming." One diplomatic drone accidentally declared war on a trade partner by ending its speech with YOLO, and yet, as expected, protocol insisted on a final analysis. Jenna, unaware that her snack-fueled chaos had triggered multiple planetary embargoes, was back at SEAL Facility Bravo X conducting a seminar titled Improvisation Under Fire and Other Party Tricks. Her students were setting up an ambush, using trampolines, paintball drones, and a war goat named Brenda. A drone from the Respectful Inquiry attempted a passive flyover for observation, cloaked, silent, and stuffed with redundancies, until Jenna casually looked up, pointed with her burrito, and muttered, "Looks like someone forgot we can smell fear now." The drone panicked, mid-air. It executed 17 conflicting evasive maneuvers, spiraled into a goat pen, and exploded in a shower of blue sparks and bureaucratic embarrassment. The footage, captured by 3 trainees and 1 feral cat wearing a GoPro, hit galactic feeds within minutes. Jenna waved at the flaming wreckage, bit into her burrito, and winked at the camera. The council, watching live via a secured sub-channel, issued an emergency memo. Immediate reclassification of Terragaia to Death Class Alpha. Psychological warfare active. Strategic unpredictability confirmed. Leader entity, codename Burrito. Valkyrie must not be approached without ceremonial snacks and exit plan. Jenna, scrolling through her growing alien meme fan base on her tablet later that evening, chuckled as she watched a gelatinous ambassador attempt human sarcasm by slapping a muffin and calling it aggressively peaceful. She leaned back, stretched, and muttered to herself, "I give 'em 2 days before they either start copying us or beg for a restraining order. Either way, I'm going to need more burritos." The emergency session of the Unified Order of Advanced Races began at precisely 0800 bureaucratic time, which was 47 minutes later than planned, due to one ambassador accidentally uploading Jenna Briggs's combat blooper, reel into the Universal Diplomacy Archives. Half the council was still recovering from the clip where she launched herself off a trampoline into a moving APC while yelling, "Surprise hugs, mother-loving heretics," a phrase now officially classified as a Class 3 cognitive hazard in 12 languages. High General Krinthax arrived last, his 12 tentacles twitching in synchronized despair as he reviewed the final UOAR intelligence package on Terragaia. It was, put politely, a psychological black hole. A civilization with no stable global leadership, no consistent military uniform design, a disturbingly casual relationship with explosives, and a species that laughed when threatened. Worse, when asked about potential countermeasures, the super-intelligent war AI assigned to the EE task simply uploaded a .gif of Jenna high-fiving a flamethrower and then self-deleted with a note that said, "Nope." Desperate for options, the council attempted one last diplomatic outreach, an ornate data package titled Operation Apology Blanket, encoded with peace offerings, cultural emotes, and a custom-recorded ballad of remorse performed by a Citalian flute whale. It was transmitted to Jenna directly. She opened the message while on break, seated on a repurposed missile crate, sipping iced coffee through a titanium straw. Her reaction? A half smile, a thoughtful nod, and then, because Jenna Briggs never let good melodrama go to waste, she filmed a full response video titled, "Thanks for the blanket, but I prefer explosions." It opened with her mock-dramatically wrapped in an actual blanket while narrating Earth's reaction options to galactic diplomacy. They were, in order: 1. Ignoring it. 2. Testing its durability via flamethrower. 3. Using it to mummify a trainee. And 4. Turning it into a tactical poncho labeled, "Target this, nerds." The video went viral. Again. The council combusted. Again, 5 members resigned, citing interstellar anxiety induced by Terragaean metaphors. A final resolution passed with a record-setting 61-1 vote. Effective immediately, Terragaea was to be granted Class Null autonomy status, recognized not just as a sovereign member of galactic civilization, but as a strategic threat entity with mandatory respect conditions. In short, do not mess with Earth, do not visit Earth, and above all, do not approach the one with the braid, unless you enjoy spontaneous atmospheric re-entry. Back on Earth, Jenna was summoned to a debriefing inside the new Galactic Liaison office, which had been built inside an abandoned IKEA warehouse. It had 3 chairs, a blinking vending machine, and 17 diplomats nervously offering her coffee every 5 seconds. She took one sip, smiled, and muttered, "Smart choice." The Galactic Respect Pact, TM, was signed shortly after, offering humanity full access to faster-than-light travel, unrestricted technological exchange, and, at Jenna's insistence, universal access to spicy snack shipments. As a parting gesture, the UOAR sent a ceremonial gift box filled with apology scrolls, alien gourmet condiments, and a note reading, "Please don't invent anything new for at least 1 cycle. Our therapists are exhausted." Jenna's reply was a handwritten card. "No promises, but I'll aim low, or not." Months later, her footage became mandatory viewing for new alien cadets in the UOAR Academy, under the course title, Asymmetric Terragaean Warfare: Chaos, Charisma, and Carb-Driven Carnage. The final lecture was a looped video of Jenna looking directly into the camera, biting into a protein bar and saying, "We don't fight because we have to. We fight because we're better at it. And sometimes, it's just Tuesday." Galactic. Maps were revised. Sectors bordering Earth were labeled Caution Zone, Tactical Humor, Field Active. And somewhere deep in the diplomatic archives, buried between thousands of emergency treaties and nervous incident reports, sat a single classified entry stamped with 3 panic seals and 1 restraining order. It read, "Warning. If a Terragaean smiles before battle, flee. If they offer you snacks, pray. And if you see the blonde one, the one with the braid, you're already too late."